Welcome everyone to the Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024 Select Board meeting. And we have special guests here from the Scouts from Troops 143 and 105. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to begin the meeting by saying thank you to the voters of Pembroke for electing me once again. Truly appreciative, and I'll try to work as hard in the future as I had in the past. John?
As always, it's just same thing that Dan said. I'm so appreciative of people letting me support what you want done in this town, and I'm just happy that I'm back in for another 3 years to see what we can do. And this should be fun for years. So thank you.
All right,
Congratulations, we're glad to still have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.
Starting with the agenda, we have the first board action item, the reorganization of the board. I'll take nominations for chair.
I nominate Tracy Marino.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I close nominations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good, congratulations.
Congratulations, Chair.
I have to say I'm excited my daughter's here for this. So thank you. I will open the floor for vice chair nominations.
I'll nominate Steve Ciciotti for vice chair.
Thank you.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll second that.
Do we need a second for nominations?
We do not.
You got it, sorry.
Sorry, I did that last year. All right, then I'll close the floor for nominations, and I will roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes?
Steve?
Yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Congratulations.
Very good.
Thank
Doesn't
you.
have to be roll call.
Okay, I guess I'm
That's what the score committee did yesterday.
Thank you. Open the floor for clerk nominations, please.
I nominate John for clerk.
Any other nominations? I close the floor for nominations for clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congrats, John.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Scheduled appointments, our Veterans Agent David Phillips is here to speak about Memorial Day. We're excited to hear about it.
Hi, I'm not the chair of the Memorial Committee. I'm not the vice chair. That would be Elaine Crudup. She happens to be away. And the junior vice is Kathleen Keegan, who has a seminar. So you've got me. I'm the veterans officer. Okay, so we're helping out. And we will have a parade. Mustering at 9:15 at, on Memorial Day at the Arrow, formerly the Arrow Restaurant. Okay, so you can take a Council on Aging van from here, beginning at 9 o'clock, right from the Veterans Park there, and you can take it back and forth for a while. The suggested way to go would be drop as many as you can off down at the Arrow, okay? And we will step up there at 10 o'clock and make our way back up here. So what I do have is I have a fire truck, I have a fireman, policeman, I have Legion, I have Scouts 143, I have Scouts 107, I have the military support group, I have a couple antique cars, I presume I have select board, some members of the select board. Everybody
Yep,
coming?
I'll be there.
Okay. School band, we've got some brownies, we've got some Cubs, Cub Scouts, and some reenactors, and then lastly, some police cars. Okay, and then basically, once we get here, our program is much like Linda Osborne did it. Okay? So I think everything will go smoothly. Understand there's a threat of rain. I have never done a parade before, but Tracy will be there. She can tell me what to do,
I can do that.
okay? Because I'm not sure, all right? This is my first parade organization. So that's about it, unless you have any questions for me. Tonight, we had Natalie Siciotti doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and we had Izzy Marino. And then, other than that, we have from the American Legion, Paul Duvall, the senior commander. And if you'd like to say something before we go?
Yes, this is, will be my first parade here in town. Last year, obviously, we didn't have one because of that, and hopefully the weather is going to be in our favor. They talked about showers in the afternoon, so I'm not that worried about it. But what I want people to understand that even though it's a parade and everybody be happy, we don't want to lose what the meaning of this parade is about. From the children to an adult to all of us. It's a solemn parade, and that's how it should be treated with everybody. So we have a pretty good schedule as far as the American Legion goes. We have a good honor guard. We have 6 people for honor guard. We have people that will be marching with, and so it should be very good, and everyone will have a small speech to say. So I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope everybody takes the correct meaning of it. Okay, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay, so the other thing I have to do before I go is introduce you to Scout Ian Gilligan, and he will read our proclamation for us. All right? So, Ian.
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, a proclamation. Whereas while the nation was still recovering from the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor the soldiers who had given their lives celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas, after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country, renamed Memorial Day. The last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all the men and women who fought and died in all the American wars and conflicts. And whereas throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts residents have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts residents remember the bravery of those who gave their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore I, Maura T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 27, 2024 to be Memorial Day, and urge all residents of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston, this 27th day of May, in the year 2024, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 247th.
Thank you.
Well, they're staying. The girls are staying. Thank you, though.
Need it right home.
Yep, they're ours. Speaking of Memorial Day, we need to choose who's going to speak. I know that the chair does it as usually, but as I've done it already a few times, I know a few of us have. I just wanted to open up and see if somebody else wanted to take it.
I'll speak.
You want to do Memorial Day?
Yeah, I'll do Memorial Day.
Awesome, thank you. Let them know so they can put you on the... Well, do we have, is Katie McPhail here? I don't see her either.
I mean, you can still vote it in her absence. I just thought she wanted to be here.
I think she wanted to be here too, so maybe we'll just move forward with the public safety building update and then see if she pops in after that. I would rather she could be present if she's going to be. So, hi. Hello. You have an update for us.
Susan, good evening.
What's
Thank
your
you.
name?
Yep, I'm Christy Murphy with the Vertex Companies. We're the owner's project manager for your current community center and also for the public safety and fire substation project. And I'm here with my counterpart and teammate Allison Mahar, who is a Pembroke resident. So thank you for this opportunity. Quickly, I'm going to give you a schedule update, budget update, overview of the design progress, and then what our next steps are. So for schedule, you can see a dashed line roughly representing where we are right now. So as a jumping off point, I think that you were in receipt of a memo from us that was sent to the town manager and chair of our building committee about the status of our budget at the end of schematic design. So drawings were issued earlier this year. They were estimated, and we found to be about $7.5 million over budget at that time. I'm going to talk more about that in subsequent slides, but I bring it up here because that's what we've been doing, is working on digging into what we can do to improve that situation. So that's what April and May has been, and I'm going to give you an update on that shortly. We just had our building committee meeting, and we have a vote to proceed to design development, which is our next phase of the project. And then moving down, this schedule here represents us bidding both of the projects separately, and then awarding to two separate GCs. And so we will be bidding in basically spring of 2025, substation first, public safety building second, and then starting construction, immediately following those. We right now show a substation occupancy date of June of 2026 and public safety of March of 27. We're going to talk about a strategy to possibly consider bidding those together as part of our ideas around cost savings. So we'll certainly keep you updated on that schedule if that's what proceeds. So this is the budget update. And again, this is a progress update from my memo where we were, in fact, $7.5 million over budget. If I could recap for a minute what that was, essentially most of that, about $7 million, was actually site work costs. When the budget was appropriated, the study included about a $2 million estimate for site work. We're about $7 million over that. A lot of challenges after doing due diligence with that Washington Street site, and I'm going to talk about that a little more. So what we've done since then, I have to say, you have an incredible building committee. The chiefs and deputy chiefs are so collaborative, creative, and have worked really well with us and the designers. They've worked hard at finding shared opportunities, efficiencies. And so if you look here in this column, this is what we've been working on the last couple months. So right here, you can see a credit of about $700,000 for the substation, public safety about $2.1 million. That is found reductions and efficiencies by them to make those buildings a little bit smaller. Roughly 1,400 square feet on the substation, about 4,600 square feet on the public safety building. And so that certainly helps our situation. We also have a strategy of bidding the auxiliary building, which is about $2 million, as an alternate. We've had a lot of success with bidding a building like that, a very clear scope of work as an alternate. On bid day, general contractors will often be creative if they really want this job on how they bid that alternate. And so it often reaps savings. So we've pulled that from the base budget right now. We're still carrying the $1 million for moving the Turner House on the Washington Street site. So roughly $4.8 million in the construction line in reductions. We've also looked at the furniture, fixtures, and equipment line item, working closely again with the chiefs, deputy chiefs, looking at our historic data getting some real pricing on a few items, current pricing. We've found another $1 million in savings on that line. So in total, since that memo, just several weeks ago, we're about 5.9 million better than we were on that day. We're still about $1.6 million over budget. But I'll talk about as we go, a few opportunities we see as we continue with design development on what we'll be investigating to try and gain that. And of course, one of them is that bid strategy I just mentioned. So I would give you an overview of the design progress. This is the public safety building looking at the front. This is a rendering that we brought to the Historic District Commission, I believe it was in March. And there was a lot of support from them around this. They liked the way it's progressing. So essentially a clapboard exterior, like a brick stone base to give it some grounding, and certainly that it has that similar appeal to the community center. And this is the site. So up here, Washington Street, down here, Barker. And this is the current site of the Turner House, and this would be the relocated site. You can see the entrances off of Washington. So as I mentioned, this increase in site costs, I want you to see here. So when the wetlands were delineated, the line for the wetlands has moved in a little bit, creating a tighter site. We also now realize that we need to raise the grade of this site by about 6 feet, bringing in material in order to cover a new septic here. So some of the challenges from this site and the conditions. You can see Apparatus Bay, this is the firehouse itself, and then police and fire, some mixture here, mostly police on the first floor. So here's just some of the facts, just a reminder of what these programs look like. So the public safety building now is about 39,000 square feet, auxiliary building about 4,000 square feet, and 122 parking spaces. You can see the police program still, so this is after the shared opportunities and reductions, all the patrol operations, command operations, investigation. The police admin offices are here, so this is police headquarters, fire headquarters. The Sally Port, cells, evidence, locker rooms, break room, armory, storage, etc. So the main police operations. Fire, we have 4 apparatus bays, watch room, 5 double bunk rooms, training tower, mezzanine, triage, turnout gear and its support like decon, workroom, day room, kitchen, the scuba, fire, admin offices, and storage. And then, of course, the shared spaces that I'm sure you've seen in meetings before, that community training room. It is slightly reduced from the original, about 300 square feet or so, and that's really just taking out a bump out off of it, so it's now just a nice rectangle. It's funny how those kind of adjustments are savings. Conference room, kitchenette, dispatch, the wellness and defensive tactics, all shared spaces. So that's the headquarter building at public safety building at Washington Street. Next, this is the fire substation at the corner of Monroe and School Streets. You can see brick and clapboard, very simple, cost-effective design. And then here, School Street and Monroe is over here. You can see all the entrances, apparatus, in, out, and public, all off School Street. The apparatus bays, and then all fire, the bunks here, and day room, etc. And I wanted to point out this also, you can see this retaining wall that wasn't assumed. There's a significant elevation change over here. And then here's the program, just about 9,700 square feet, 19 spaces, 2.5 bays of apparatus, essentially as part of the reductions and trying to tighten up the building. Some of you could see in the image, I'm going to go back quickly, right here, this bump out area of rooms has been moved into the front of one of these. So there'll be a half bay available, and then this has been moved into here, and that tightens up the building footprint quite a bit. And then the typical firefighter and fire station programs, et cetera. And then there is still community police office presence here. So here's our next steps. Proceeding with design development. This is really when you get to know what these buildings are, the design, the cost, the due diligence. The buildings really, the scope itself is finalized. This is important. At the end, when we have our estimate, you can see the last bullet in late September, we'll really have a sense for where we are on the project, more than, schematic design. The second bullet here, incorporate the scope efficiencies, reductions. So we did a math exercise. We need to get them now into the design. That's the first step. That Washington Street site, we need to do percolation tests there. As you all know, last summer, fall, winter, very wet. We've not been able to do them yet. So our site work costs assume the worst case scenario. We don't know if it could be a little better. Maybe we only have to cap 4 feet instead of 6, or maybe some area versus the other. We have assumed the worst case scenario because we had to. So that's an opportunity. We are going to investigate the general contractor bid pool. So we at Vertex, and also your architect KBA, we have public safety fire projects coming up where we'll be pre-qualifying general contractors and subcontractors. It gives us the chance to look at their bonding limits, how much they can do per project and in aggregate. Meaning, if we were to strategize to bid these together, we want to make sure we have a good bid pool. We want as many bidders available that can do that limit of the two combined. And that they're the right bidders, the good bidders, and also that there are enough of them. So that's our very important next step. We also now are going to dig into that Turner House move. We need to identify and qualify bidders and then get real numbers on that. We've been carrying that $1,024,000 for a while. It's time to dig into that scope and make sure that's the right number. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's actually more. Maybe it's a little less. We're hopeful it's less, but there's a lot of risk in that, so we need to get into that. That is one of our next steps. Hone the furniture, fixture, and equipment. Continue to get pricing, current pricing, so we understand we have good budgets, and then move towards design development estimate in the fall. That's it. Good. Open up to questions.
Anyone on the board have any questions?
You want to start with Bill? Bill, did you have anything to add?
The only thing I would note is that at this stage, we're through schematic design. Design development is where you start to bring in your engineers, you start to really firm up all of those pieces of the job. Right now, your cost estimators are assuming, relatively high costs because there is unknown still because the design hasn't developed. It's typical process. We're going through a very normal process with this. You do your schematic, you do any value engineering that is necessary, you go through your design development phase, you get your estimate. Your design development estimate, if we are over budget at that point, I'm going to be concerned. I have concerns, but I'm not seriously concerned as of right now. There's strategies involved, making sure that we have a competitive bid pool, making sure that we check all the boxes during design development, making sure that we have the engineering, get the septic engineering done, which is a huge cost. As she said, right now, the estimators are carrying the highest possible cost on that. We had similar strategies when we did the community center. And actually, when we bid it you recall, we had 3 ad alternates on the community center. The bids came in low enough, so we were able to complete all of those. Hopefully, we'll have a similar situation here. You don't know until you get there. That's why if we were $7.5 million, I would say we need to go back and rethink this with another strategy. $1.5 million, given all the unknowns and everything that's going on, I think it's prudent for us to move forward and get that design development completed and get those estimates. Those estimates are what's going to truly should be matching where your bids are. And keep in mind that those estimates are not your low bid estimates. That when they estimate the building, they are estimating here where your low bids are typically below those estimates. So let's move forward. Let's see, but let's continue to keep our pens and pencils sharp and follow it very, very closely.
John, did you have anything you wanted to add as the chair?
No, like I said, the town manager and Christie and Vertex have done a great job with us so far. Like I said, when they first came in, we had the paperwork that was given to us. Needless to say, yeah, my heart sunk, because seeing that estimate, it really got the rumor mill going because of things that were said. And I said, I want to make sure that people understand that we don't want to go back to town meeting for anything. And since now we're at 1.5, we're moving forward to make sure we're looking for where else we need to look at when these actual bids come in. So estimates are always high, we know that, but the way they came in, yeah, it probably caught a lot of us off guard here in town, and probably my board too. So I said, just keep the faith. We're working through it. We're gonna, keep going at it. The chiefs, deputy chiefs also have made sure both buildings has shrunk so much, but didn't affect programming. And that was the biggest thing too. So as long as basically the town is safe because of these folks on the road, we are looking better and better as months go by too, coming up to this final project, at least in my estimation.
Okay.
Could you talk about the septic location strategy? Because that's such a high cost driver on both properties. Can you just discuss the options that you began with and why you believe it should be located here? You haven't done test pits yet, is that right?
We haven't done percolation tests yet,
So you don't
no.
even know?
But because of the Turner House and needing all this parking for the community room, we're really limited. So, to be honest, that's probably one of the main reasons that we landed at that part of the site. Of course, when we when we do these percolation tests, and if we were to find a significant difference somewhere else, we certainly would take to the design team and say, you got to look at reorienting this. But right now, the need for that much parking to support their operations and also that training room led us, and then the Turner House itself led us to have to be basically in this orientation. And that's where we are. It also, because we will be mounding where the septic is, it's also the right location on that corner, that busy corner, as a feature, instead of, in front of the building or, something like that, that doesn't make it a welcoming space, which is important.
And one other thing that I'd ask you to consider as you're moving forward, as the ad alternate that you mentioned, the auxiliary building, right now it's a conditioned space, but the police station in Norwell has open stalls. So if we really needed a pinch, I mean, what's that, $2 million structure now?
Correct.
Could easily cut that in half. And I know it'd be a little detrimental to the long-term health of your vehicles, but $1 million is $1 million.
Yep, no, it's great. That's a great suggestion.
Anything else?
That's it for me, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to get a copy of the PowerPoint. And then on top of that, can I, and I assume the rest of the board at least, also be sent what the changes, the reductions were from the original design, just a list of
We have a
the main
spreadsheet.
highlights?
Absolutely.
Perfect, yeah, thank you. I'm good.
The timeline pushed out till next spring. We've had some relatively good winters. Is there an opportunity to do some site work this winter?
We'd have to break off a separate bid package because this is design bid build. We're not using a construction manager. So one of the strategies, if I could, is the Monroe site is what we know to be a cut, meaning we're going to be taking material off. As I said, we need to bring in material for Washington Street. That's part of why bidding them together is possibly so important. They can be creative about how they use materials. So breaking it off could kind of take away that opportunity for savings. But one of the things I will say, we do land at a better time of year to start the project. We were formally not starting in the best time of year. And
The fall, you mean originally?
yeah, we were in the.
I'm just worried about prices. Are
Yeah.
gonna go up as they've been going up for the last
Right.
4 years. Soil modeling, when are they gonna start perk testing and soil modeling?
This summer. Now
Okay.
it's time. We just couldn't do it with all the way the conditions have been. We couldn't do it.
You're looking for high groundwater?
Hoping it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We know it is. We know it is, to be honest, like absolutely
So
transparent. We
they've
know it
done
is.
perk tests? It's been
We haven't-
determined.
We haven't officially done perk tests,
Correct.
but we've done some test bits to take a look.
So you did soil modeling in there to find out where the high water ground level is?
We haven't done to that,
No.
no.
So how was the septic design done without that?
Strictly by using the constraints of the site and choosing the location from that. And then knowing that we have to have the cover, thus lifting the site, raising the grade.
For at least 4 feet.
Yeah,
So potentially it might not be an issue.
Yeah, that would be nice.
that would be nice. I mean, it doesn't feel likely when we've been on that site, but we've also been on that site on the worst days.
Is it because it's adjacent to the wetlands?
Wetlands.
You're considering that that's groundwater?
Yes.
Okay. So there's some limitations there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one last question as a board
Can we
member?
just finish at the board and then we'll call? No worries.
I just had a question for probably Bill to answer. Right now, that site is being used as a lay station for the road work. Will that be cleared by September?
They're going to be out of there relatively quickly, pending any delays over here. I'm in a bit of a back and forth with them right now on that, but it should not be a problem.
Okay. I just don't want 100 cubic yards of dirt in a place where you need to do a perk test.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. What was the date, Bill? When do you think roughly?
I think they should be out by September, in the September
September.
timeframe.
So in the summer, we'll be still working around it a bit.
Yes, but a lot of that's there now is going to be put in place. They're finishing up on a lot of things. We got a couple of wires that need to be moved off poles, got some retaining walls completed, and then they're whatever they're going to do with the paving. Mass DOT needs to make that determination, but it should be okay.
Paul, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, just a quick question. As far as the septic system goes, if there is a major problem with water, did they ever consider above ground septic system like they have at Stop and Shop?
Well, that's
Except bigger?
That's the mound, yeah.
Right. Essentially.
I mean, regular tank, so there is nothing that,
Putting it and then mounding over it.
oh, I see, okay. I see, all right, that was my question. The second question is, where the building is, was that ever perk tested before this ever went out?
During this study, I don't believe so.
It hasn't,
And why not?
in my tenure here, it has not been tested. It may have been tested
But
previous
why?
to that.
But why wasn't it? I mean, when my house was built, before they put a 2x4 up, the ground was perk tested to make sure they could build a house there.
I wasn't here when the site was bought
No,
by
I
the
know,
town.
I understand
can't-
that, but I mean, even 2 years ago, before this came up, why wasn't it perk tested? I don't understand that. That way there, you wouldn't have the problems that you have now.
So there was a bunch of cores and a bunch of site testing.
Yeah, but of course doesn't do it like a
Well,
perk test, and you know that as well as I do.
I can't speak to it.
You know, I'm not an engineer, but I know about perk testing. You know, and core holes mean nothing. It only means what it means, 3 inches in diameter down that far. That's all that means. You know, so, all right, okay. I'm sorry, just had to ask. Yeah, okay. Okay,
So
thank
since
you.
we are here and updating, I was going to see if anybody wanted to ask any questions, if you could come on up. Mr. Schmarzo?
I was going to say, I'll just stand.
Okay.
Thank you. The Turner House, is the town just moving it, or are they doing a remove and replace excavation 7 feet down under that as well? Are you prepping that site, or are we just moving it?
So the design for the Turner House is such that we agreed that we would put a foundation that will stabilize the Turner House and move the house as it exists today and potentially paint the exterior. Beyond that, no other improvements were promised by the town. I'm sure that there are groups out there that want more improvements, but it's not part of this budget, and I want to be very, very clear about that. It's not part of this budget. So if anything else to Turner House that anybody wants to do will have to be funded from a separate source.
Those beams below are rotted out.
I know.
Has the structural engineer looked at that?
We had it looked at probably 18 months ago. I can current status, as we move forward with this plan, will be looked at.
So the state of that house, the inside of the house, is going to stay the way that it is? It's
Yes.
just being moved,
So
and it's gonna be
it
the
will
same.
have to be shored up. So whoever moves it, the moving company will have to go in and stabilize everything that's there to move it. They're not going to be able to move that house without shoring it up. But as far as improvements,
Internal improvements, it's the same?
zero.
Yeah, correct.
Got it.
Question. The original proposal, budget-wise, I forget what the number was, but there was a good contingency and an extra amount of money we figured that was, could be used, maybe not, depending on construction costs. And the feeling was that it's probably going to be in excess. Is there a contingency number in this still, or have we wiped out the contingency?
Great question. Thank you. I realized after I went by it, I didn't say that. So we're still carrying a 5% construction contingency and a 2% owner's contingency.
Okay.
So 7% in this number.
Okay. The 7 million site work, a mountain system is expensive. I think a lot of people in this room know the site is horrible. It's a horrible, horrible conditions, and work should have been done beforehand, but we're not at that point. We've got to move forward. Why 5 million more for a raised system, or what else did happen with the site that you didn't anticipate that's bringing from 2 million to 7 million?
Those retaining walls are all the way around the exterior.
Those are retaining walls,
Yeah,
not?
that's all retaining wall.
How high?
I don't know, they have to be at least 4, 6 probably.
Because the whole site is coming up?
Yeah, 8 to 10 because,
Yeah, I
right,
think-
8 to 10 because we're raising,
The whole site, okay.
we're
Okay.
raising 6, so they've got to be at least 10.
Okay. In the public, the main building, is there still an exercise room?
Yes.
Get rid of it. That's my opinion. Get rid of it. It's a cost that we don't need to spend. It's an excess. And I have personal opinions on that, but I'll speak in public on that.
But they combined it with defensive tactics, so the actual training. They
Yeah.
used to be 2 separate rooms, to your point, now they're combined.
If it's a training room, fine, but if it's an
Yeah.
exercise room to
Yeah,
exercise
no, it's,
on their own.
great point. It's now combined.
The perk test, what happens if it doesn't perk? Going in that area blind, what happens?
That's what we have assumed right now. So we've assumed that, well, I see what you're saying. So the foundation design may need to be altered. We may have to deal with uplift and build a bathtub, and like, there's just things that may.
More expensive
A little
system.
bit more, but I think we have a lot of that covered. We expected it to be not great, so I think a lot of it's in.
Okay, and last question, the compaction, be a vibrating roller, compacting to 7 feet or whatever. So is there a number in there of contingencies of maybe some damage to neighboring houses or the such?
Yeah, we generally look at the distance once we know what we're doing, and we'll offer like a pre-existing condition survey of those
Of
area
those
homes or
houses, okay.
buildings. And then we give them the report, we have the report, and then if anything comes after, we can do a post-it, and we can, deal with that after, so.
And is that damage on the town or on the contractor?
We'll work.
Would that be in the contract?
Yeah, we'll work that in the contract.
Okay, and if the Turner house falls down due to the vibrating, we can reduce the budget by $1 million?
Let's hope it falls down before it's moved.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Did anybody else have any other questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody on the committee want to say anything before we wrapped up? Just checking.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep, I saw, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Katie McPhail. Would you mind coming up? That's okay. You just moved on. Okay. I'm feeling it'd be here eventually. Absolutely. Yes, please. Do you want to share why you're here?
Yes, so my name is Katie McPhail. I am here to talk about donating a memorial bench to the town in honor of my mom, Susan Roach, who was the director at Pembroke Recreation for 22 years, and she passed away almost 2 years ago. So Lance had given me like basically a script of what you guys wanted, so I wanted to do 2 benches, one indoor and one outdoor at the new community center. And I would also like to start a Kindness Rocks garden. I did include, I didn't print them all in color, but I did include a picture of like the rocks if you're not familiar with the garden. And then also there's a plan, like a proposal on the back from the Kindness Rocks site. So the reason I want to do this is she loved her town, she loved her job, and most importantly, she made a difference in the lives of many children, families of Pembroke. She made connections with everyone that worked for her and with her. She was often like a second mother to the after-school and summer counselors. She worked really hard through the years to support the needs of Pembroke residents, often developing programs when she saw a need. She loved the annual egg hunt, especially enjoyed summer camp, helping with weekly themes and field trips. Seeing happy children was her biggest joy, and I would like to honor her commitment to the town with a memorial. I included a lot actually, of testimonials of people in town that worked with her, that had their kids at the rec center, of, you know, just to show like why I think it's important for the town. And Lance had talked about 2 locations at the center. He said we didn't have to decide that now, that as long as you accepted the gift of the benches and having the rock garden, that we would figure out the location later. A little bit more on the rocks is, it's a initiative called the Kindness Rocks. They're all over the place. It's online, you can track them, and basically it's, you paint rocks and you can paint one, bring it there. If you see one that you like that speaks to you, you can take it with you. My plan would be to start that and have 3 different like starter sessions. So I would do one with the camp kids. I spoke with the senior center, we would do one with the seniors, and then maybe another one with just other members of the community. And the rocks can be just a picture, so it could be like a sun or a flower or a rainbow. And there's also people that do a lot of quotes like smile, the world needs more people like you, just like positive upbringing, upbeat, like kindness things. That's all.
I think this is a lovely tribute to your mom. You should be thrilled. Did anybody have any questions, comments?
I have a couple
share?
questions, if that's
Please.
okay. So, a couple of quick questions. Do the rocks have to be associated with the bench? Can it be separate locations?
I mean, I feel like it would make more sense to have them together, but I guess they could be
I'm
separate
just
if,
trying to think of citing.
so,
I'm just asking. I just want to get information and where you
And
think you're
placement hasn't been
going.
decided yet.
Yeah,
anyhow.
it's,
Sounds like Lance
A lot of the details would get
Yeah.
hammered
so
out.
initially we
Lance.
talked about,
yeah, Pete, you have to stay at the mic because people at home can't hear you.
oh, I just want to show
Sorry.
you the picture though. Originally, we talked about doing it there, but then with all the planting, today I talked to him about maybe doing it more towards the corner over here, so the bench would be like kitty cornered, and then the rocks can kind of be placed in
Okay.
between instead of moving like this
Okay.
planting.
All right, I'm just asking just to get a perspective on it.
Is there a window?
I don't know. Yeah.
No, it just, with kids, it's,
Yeah.
you know, no, I.
So we can work on
It's
that.
a- it's a landscape
Talked
issue.
about
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
but then
it-
all the
we can
planting
try-
came into play.
Sure, sure.
So today
Because
we
landscape
talked about
maintenance
maybe
is gonna
doing
be-
here,
Yeah.
where we could just do like a kitty cornered and then have the rocks in between stuff
be
instead of
determined?
like up.
By
to
Lance.
like-
I'm good, I'm
I
good
think
with
Lance
that.
is
Yeah, I think
working
that's
on
part of
detail
it.
with her.
That indoor bench, would you be amenable to a nice bronze memorial plaque indoors?
Sure. The indoor bench, Lance and I talked about doing upstairs, outside of the, like when you go towards the walking track, there's like a wall, almost like an in-between wall. where it could be like flat against the wall, but, I mean, if you don't,
I can show you some designs of some terrific memorial plaques that I think would, my perspective, would be awesome. You know,
I like that.
at least
That's
consider
permanent.
that
It will
before
be
you throw a
forever.
bench there.
It will be
one of the
forever.
reasons I was thinking about doing them both is because, one of the benches, I don't recall the name, but there was a woman that, my mom had worked with, and she passed away, and her husband, like, wanted the bench, and
Yeah, it's there.
There.
they
It's
got,
there. It's,
yes,
It's
so
there.
they,
It's there.
that bench was like, I don't know, extra special to my mom, and she would literally manhandle it every year and bring it back in, and it was outside the office, and it was great for like programming, because when kids were like in drama and in the gym, like it was like a seating area, and it was nice to just have like that space inside, so that's why I thought just to have something inside, yeah.
I'm just throwing ideas.
Yeah, no, I'm open to ideas.
Please take a look. Come visit me. I'll show you. I just, you can put a picture on it in bronze. They're just, they're awesome.
So we looked at space determination and what we're gonna do with certain things in there.
So we're going to be, as we move forward with the board, we're going to be talking about space determination. We're going to be talking about potential sponsorship of certain rooms and.
Could we
that
look
type
at
of
an
space.
overall plan before we
Sure.
maybe sign on to the indoor bench?
Sure.
And just to see where placements would be, because we haven't even opened, and I'd be curious to see some of the areas.
And this is to be determined by Lance anyhow.
Yeah, well, that's what the motion
But I think it's
proposal
more
was.
than Lance. I think
Well, I mean,
this board should be involved.
yes.
The architect should be involved, just to get other opinions.
Could we do, to be determined at this point, on locations?
Well, I think it is to be determined. I think that's how the
Well,
motion.
with
Well, it
this
has to be
board,
approved by
up to
Lance.
this board?
I think Lynn said that that's how it was written, and Sabrina
Yep,
had
it says
written.
to be approved.
Design and placement to be approved by Lance. So the idea being that all of the goals are great, but until Lance, who directly reports to Bill, who directly reports to you. So the thought being that Katie can work closely with him, and then he
Right.
can bring it
I'm
back
sure
for
they'll come up,
approval.
I just want a little more oversight, because we haven't even opened yet, and we gotta look at the grand plan here.
We can
Absolutely.
amend the motion, say by Lance Kennedy and Select Board.
As approved by the select board, should be a joint venture on this decision.
To be approved by Lance Kennedy and Select Board.
Correct.
There's a solution.
Does anybody have any other questions, comments? Do we have a motion?
I would move to accept with sincere gratitude the donation of a memorial bench to honor Recreation Director Susan Roche. Design and placement to be approved by Lance Kennedy and Select Board.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
And what about the rocks?
Oh, there's that separate, you're right. You want to make a separate
So
motion
it's the
for it?
same
Or do
motion?
you want to amend it and just add that?
Yeah, to add the,
And Rock Garden.
Kind of struck hard, yes.
Okay.
You could always remove bench and just say of a memorial as described. Because this is televised and in the archives on YouTube forever.
Very good. Then I'll amend.
Until YouTube stops, but you know.
I'll amend my motion, move to accept with sincere gratitude the donation of a memorial as described to honor Recreation Director Susan Roche. Design and placement to be approved by Lance Kennedy and Select Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I can order the first bench, and then we'll talk about a placard inside later?
Yes.
Is that good?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, do you want to approve the plans for the bench?
Yeah, we gotta look at the design of the bench.
Well, are you,
Okay.
are
There
you,
has to be a certain theme there.
Okay.
It's
Is it
gonna be the one that's
consistent
in the
with Carol?
picture that looks just like the one that Carol has, basically.
So this
So here's
bench,
this
we
one
already
first.
have two memorial benches that are identical to that.
Colored picture,
so the
it's
idea
same color
being it would
and
have that
same-
consistency.
What's the size of that bench?
Yes, Carol,
I think 30 feet long, yeah.
entertainment on green.
Yeah, it's good that it matches what's already there.
Yeah.
It does
That's-
And we approved a memorial, so the coordination will happen between yourself, Lance, and town manager, and then eventually the final plan can come to the select board, and we go, yep. Go from there. All those details hammered out.
I'm sure everyone will.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to board action items, we have an application for a special license of Barrel House Z liquor caterer. Do you want me to read this? No, I'm not gonna read this whole thing.
You wanna come up?
Do we have some?
Your turn.
Come on
We've been
up.
back there forever. Right up.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Peter Brown. I'm the Director of Operations and the Facility Manager over at City Arena. And we are going for a one-day liquor license for through Barrel House Z on 708 Washington Street on July 27th. It's a 10-year celebration for Mass City Club, the club soccer program. It's their 10th year, so we're doing a 10th year celebration.
I can't believe you've been around for 10 years.
It's wild.
My kids played for Mass City when they
Yeah.
first opened, yeah.
It is crazy how time flies.
Wow, awesome. Does anybody have any questions before I? What do you have going on at the event?
We're gonna have food trucks come in. We are switching logos, doing a uniform reveal. We're getting new uniforms. All the kids, it's open to all people in Mass City. It's gonna be a private event for just players and families that are in Mass City. And we have bouncy houses and soccer and all that stuff. We'll open up the doors, do a dunk tank, all that good stuff. It'll just a fun event to celebrate the, 10 years. We'll have alum come back that have gone off to college and played, coming back as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody has any questions? No?
I have a question.
Yes.
And not necessarily for you, Rob. What are our requirements on insurance or bonding or?
Well, it's on private property in this particular case, and they're using a licensed and certified liquor caterer who will insure him. You're approving a one-day liquor. It's not on town property.
But the town is covered by us, we're going to grant this.
You are. It's a
one-day.
closed event for only members. There's actually some debate as to whether or not, if it's a closed event by invitation only and not open to the public, in theory, you might not need it, but I'm glad you came and got it. A private business having a private event.
We're not liable.
No.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
Any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request of Rob Williams for a one-day liquor license under Mass General Law, Section 138, Chapter 138, Section 14, to serve beer and wine from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday, July 27th, 2024, at 708 Washington Street, Pembroke.
Second.
A motion is second. Do we have, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. You got it.
Moving on. We are voting to appoint Nicole Leidick to the committee vacancy on the recycling and sustainability. Is Nicole here? I don't think so.
No,
She's not here tonight,
she is an employee actually in the assessor's office. So I hate to say she's done her time today, but we told her we didn't think she needed to be present.
No.
She's already been to the committee. The committee has unanimously put her forward for appointment.
Perfect. Thank you. Any discussion?
I just want to say she has an extremely impressive resume. She's going to add immense value to the Recycling Sustainability Committee. I mean, I saw certifications in Excel and Power BI, and it like blew my hair back. So, really excited for her.
Careful, she'll want a raise.
Really excited for her presence on the Recycling Sustainability Committee.
Great. Do we have a motion?
I would move to appoint Nicole Leidick to the Recycling and Sustainability Committee, term to expire June 30th, 2026.
Second.
There's a motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Nicole. How many vacancies do we have on here now? Does that fill our committee?
There's one more, I believe.
One more.
Yep.
Okay. To appoint Select Board Representative to Plymouth County Advisory Board FY25, which runs July 1st to June 30th. John, is that currently you?
That is currently me, yes, correct.
Is anybody else interested in such? John, are you still interested in remaining?
Yeah, I can still remain, because they've done really well for us, the county, and being on the board right now, especially we had, a former member being on the executive board, they're really doing quite well with us in Pembroke. Even though we have 3.8% of the vote, which still kills me because of our, our size. But things are working out well, and we're actually working pretty well with the county, and I'd like to probably continue to do so, if that's all right.
Just one thing I noticed, like when I went to the website for it, it only listed like a handful of people that were, select board members that were appointed to it. Is it just outdated? Do they need to update it? Is there any expectation of them updating it, or?
We can ask.
It would just be good, I think, for the community, if, you know, we're gonna have representation, it should show that there.
Yeah, we have 27 members, so, I mean.
I think it listed like 5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
That would be helpful. Does anybody have any interest? Nope.
I would motion to reappoint John Brown as the Select Board Representative to Plymouth County Advisory Board, FY '25, July 1st, June 30th.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Vote to approve the minutes of May 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oops, sorry, I know.
Yeah, who seconded that?
Rich did.
Thank you, Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Town manager's report.
Yeah, so I have a few things this evening. I'll go ahead and start with a construction update. As you can see, the community center is very, very close to being complete. We are working on punch list items and finishing up the exterior landscaping. Super excited. There are minimal punch list items. The building has really come together. Building department has walked it, has issued a CO. We're getting ready to occupy some parts of it. We're not going to occupy it 100%, obviously, until June. So great news on that one. It will come in under budget. I'm very pleased by that. So, second thing is Route 36, which is a state project, a Mass DOT project. I'm not as excited about that one. 2 weeks ago, I walked the entire length of Route 36 from the center to the line and back again. Thought I was going to be dead for that, but anyway. I walked it with the Mass DOT folks and a couple of our local Department of Public Works. I was not pleased, am not pleased with the condition of the sub-base on the paving that is failing in several areas. I actually engaged a company to film it on our behalf. We have the film, we have the spreadsheets on what is failing. We have requested that the Commonwealth repair any of that before doing the final paving. We do not have word back from the Commonwealth. When I get that word back, if they say, yes, we're going to do it, we're going to repair everything that's damaged, and you will be 100%, it'll be 100% correct, then I will be taking no further action. If they don't say they're going to repair it 100% and they plan to put the finished final coat of asphalt on, I will be initially engaging with you folks, but I will also be calling Mass DOT and our representatives to indicate that that is unacceptable to us and that we do have it filmed and that we will not be accepting anything that's damaged as a town liability as we move forward. As you know, once the state completes this work, they turn it over to the town, and then we own all the maintenance of it after that. If it's going to fail, I don't want it. So I've been very aggressive with them, and I just want the board to know this evening that those are the steps that we've taken to this point to make sure that we get an acceptable product. I fully expect that they will step up and that the paving company was also there that day, that they will engage and make any repairs necessary prior to putting down the final coat. So I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Thank you for being proactive, Bill, on that. That's awesome.
Going to move on to a couple other things. Congratulations to everyone who was elected on Saturday, John and Dan for the select board, Katrina, Sue, and Patrick for the school committee, and everybody else that was there. But I also want to encourage those that lost to stay involved. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities in this community, and we need people that are involved and engaged. So if someone puts themselves out there to be elected, which is an incredibly challenging feat, I certainly want to thank them and hopefully that they will stay engaged. So, secondly, I want to announce that on June 24th, the consultants for the master plan will be doing a final presentation to the planning board. I would encourage everybody to come out and do that. We now have that. Did she email that to you guys? Have you seen it?
She did.
Yes.
The Word and the PDF? Okay. We now have them.
Just the PDF. I did not see the Word.
Okay, we have a Word copy also. Okay, it was probably too big to email.
After you go ahead, and then I want to ask something about it.
So they will be making that presentation. to the planning board. I would encourage residents to at least watch it so you can see what the final plan looks like. We will be posting it so that you can take a look on that. Question on that?
Yeah, so there was a handful of what I thought were pretty important updates at the end that us on the master plan committee wanted to see implemented. I understand that we would be doing the remaining updates ourselves. I know that they were going to fix some errors and whatnot.
So they were on the hook to fix any errors or any information that was not 100% accurate.
Yes, that which I understand. There was a handful of other items that we wanted to include that were not included that were I thought were significant value to enhance the master plan. So with getting the Word document, I am perfectly capable of doing those updates myself if necessary. Of course, I wouldn't just do it, so if it comes down to it and no one else from VHB says, okay, yeah, we'll do it, whatever the deal is, then I can take that on myself and then present it to planning for those updates.
We will get it out there on OneDrive because I'm guessing because when VHB sent it to me and I tried to send it to Sue, it kicked back. We'll put it on SharePoint so that people can, committee members and staff can have access to it.
Okay, excellent.
So,
yeah, keep me in the loop on that for
I
sure.
will, certainly. One thing, Plymouth County, I just want to announce that at your next meeting, the Plymouth County Commissioners, that is June 12th, will be bringing the town a check for over $700,000, which is likely our last opera payment. Don't get excited. We appropriated $750,000, which is previous opera plus this at our Springtown meeting. So we've already spent the money in anticipation of it coming, but now we're going to actually have the check in hand. So
we'll be doing photos.
yes, so we'll just give people a heads up on that one. And then my final topic tonight is June 15th. From 10 to 1 p.m. Community Center grand opening. We are planning a really nice event and would like everyone. Formal invitations will be going out relatively quickly. And so everybody start planning and come visit this space. This is incredible space. I am so pleased at the way it came out. Obviously, I came in the middle of it. I didn't do a lot of pre-planning for it. But certainly was involved in the building of it. And I'm incredibly pleased to the building committee and select board and those individuals. There's several individuals who weren't on either one of those committees that were involved in the process. So,
will you have PAC TV there?
Yeah, well, we've asked, and we have a meeting coming up with them on technology. So yes, we anticipate, absolutely.
The big thing that basically the audience at home and here need to know is Dan definitely took the hit on the community center getting this done, so he earns every bit of kudos for this project, Mr. Former Chair.
It took a village.
A lot of people were involved.
Thank you.
You did take the point, so.
Can we go back to Mass DOT for a minute?
Sure.
Is it too much to ask if they could determine why these failures happened?
So I asked that question on the walk. Obviously, when you're walking 4 miles, you got an opportunity to chat with these.
You'll see it Monday.
Chat with these folks. Yeah, you'll see a lot of it Monday. I asked for the test from the plant, and the test from the plant showed that there were no issues with the asphalt. I've done a ton of asphalt in my career, and typically you'll see something in the test. I asked for the cores. I physically saw where they had cored the road all the way down. So I asked for the core tests, and there were very few. There were a couple of minor notes in the course, but nothing that would indicate where it's at.
But they're in numerous areas.
Oh, yeah,
And it has to be the compaction of the substrate below.
So there's several reasons it could happen. It could be something from the plant. There could have been a problem with the asphalt emulsion, but that usually shows up in the test. There could have been water in the mix, so what happens is when they lay it down and compact it, the water evaporates and you get cracking. It could be how they laid it down. From the truck.
I'd like to get something on record.
From the
because
truck.
We're going to see stuff on the finished code on this.
The only thing I noted when I walked in a handful of areas, there were large aggregate, and I'm talking stones that are 1.5 to 3 inches. That's not in your mix, so it had to either be on the roadway somehow when the roadway wasn't swept or cleaned prior to it going down.
It was washed out numerous times.
And or had to be in the trucks when they picked up the asphalt from the plant, and when they dumped it in and rolled it out, it shows.
They never go
Those
away.
aren't the areas that are failing, however. The areas that are failing are just where the asphalt is just crumbling. And so it's difficult to pinpoint. Usually you'll see something in the mix test, something in the laydown, something in the course. There's nothing that indicates it from any of the testing. So who knows? Bottom line is, I don't care. I need them to fix it. When I walk it visually and I put a spray can there, I can see it's failing. You know, my ultimate desire would be to mill and overlay. Mill it and put down a new coat.
Right, right.
However, if they're not going to do that, they at least need to mill those areas that have been identified, both on camera and when we walked it and sprayed it, at a minimum.
What if it's a sub-base?
Well, that's what we don't know. I mean, the sub-base, they did a ton of work on the sub-base, because the sub-base is where Mass DOT had a problem with the contractor, and which delayed the project initially. So I don't think it's the sub-base, because the sub-base was inspected and inspected and inspected. But doesn't mean it isn't. We don't know 100%.
Right, well, when they're changing out utilities, like branching off a new water line or something and abandoning an old one, those are the places that tend to not get filled and compacted right, because they're like one-offs.
Right, right. And I think that's the situation, what's that roadway on the right? About halfway to 27, I forget the name of it, but I
West?
think, yeah, west. Thank you, Steve. No, thank you, Rich. Whatever, you know, long day. I think that's the situation at west. I think it is the sub-base there. The rest of the road, I'm not sure. So.
If you've marked the ones that clearly jump out at you, is it worth
Well,
making another trip back and forth and getting those steps in, but like really,
No, he's
really
handing you
looking and
paint
see-
on Monday.
Yes.
You're gonna be marking it on.
And marking anything that looks like, okay, this is gonna become
have-
an issue here, it's
so we have
worse than,
filmed it
those are the
now.
ones you see.
We have 5K filmed it, and 4K filmed it, and identified on a spreadsheet all of those areas. We actually we're buying a new product that we can do this with. We've actually had an engineering firm that has worked with us to do that. So
all Bill can do is flag it. He can't determine what's good and bad, and we need engineering support on this.
and that's why we're working with Mass DOT to do that. We've certainly flagged it. We've certainly, done our piece so that we have enough evidence to show there's a problem. And contacted not just our local Mass DOT district person, but his boss. I asked to have his boss, and I spoke with his boss directly. So,
Can we do one thing? Can we make sure that we don't raise the structures until they determine if they're gonna fix it or not?
yep.
And when do they finish, when are they gonna do the finish coat?
So they're scheduled to do it within the month.
This month?
That is the end of June, July. So that is going to be a problem if they don't, do it. I think this will delay it slightly, and it will be into July. But they're still moving forward with everything else. They're making sure the poles are in place, making sure all the retaining walls are done. As you can see, when you walk down through there, they've even seeded some of the areas on the side of that. Working with the sidewalks, we had some similar problems on some of the sidewalks. However, the sidewalks are better because of the way they're just designed and put in place with the curbing and everything else. So.
Thanks for holding them to it.
Yeah, when I saw it, it became a frustration point, and I know that our DPW folks, I don't do this in a vacuum by myself. They certainly have brought it to my attention. So I want to give them kudos.
There's a lot of eyes on it.
Yes, and should be.
Yeah.
So.
When the project is completely done, is there like a 2-year time period where they can be held to the quality of the finished product?
We will negotiate that. They will look to turn it over as quickly as they can. Obviously, with the Route 14 project, we held it up. I wasn't here then, but we held it up. If you read the history of that, we held it up for a bit on a couple of problems and actually fought them on it. One we won, one we lost. So, and the one we lost is still causing problems. But
The culvert over at Lindy's.
Park Street, yeah. Yep.
It's twice we fixed that.
Yep. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's all we can do. I mean, ultimately, they do control it, and the engineers have to make that call. So.
Thank you, Bill. Anything else?
That's it.
Do we have any liaison updates tonight? Do we have any old business?
Liaison update, I guess, bylaw review committee. We're gonna meet on Tuesday. We submitted our articles and they were all successful at town meeting. We're gonna ask the public to go on to the website and look at the bylaws and see if there's any changes that they think is needed, or omissions. We're open to that as well. And come before us and discuss those on Tuesday, May 28th at 4 p.m. I would assume down here. And if the public could come in, they're more than welcome. We'd love to hear from them. We're going to send it around again this year to department heads as well, and see if there's anything that we're going to present at the fall town meeting.
So you're looking for as residents to pipe in?
Love to have some input.
Have you had anybody come? Or submit anything, or?
I can tell you there's going to be one person coming.
Well, that's good.
Because I met with him yesterday.
Okay, fantastic. We're a full.
I referred him to you, Rich.
So
Okay. We'd love to hear from
how
you.
are we reaching out to find people or ask people?
I'm just doing it here tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the agenda. So we'll probably do this again before town meeting. But not much you can do. Maybe we can put something on the website
And
with the link.
Yep.
Right there, great.
And announce on social media.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, as soon as it drops on Facebook, we'll see before they see the website.
okay, great.
And you guys have a full board now that you have Alicia Siciliano Perry, who's the chair of planning.
She's not appointed yet.
Oh, you guys
So
have made
scheduled
you
for
guys
the 12th.
making the recommendation.
Yep.
She's on the 12th.
So she's welcome to attend and participate without voting until the 12th.
Okay.
And then you're full?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good.
Do you
Anything else?
foresee after this next effort, do you foresee even ongoing effort beyond that?
We have some cleanup to do from the town manager, from town administrator to town manager. And I think the board, we have some ideas of what we want to do. We're very conscious of, we don't want to have more than 5 or so per town meeting. So we're not looking to dump everything into a meeting. It just makes it a long meeting, so.
I mean,
Yeah,
in terms of so you have 3 or 5 articles, and then there's other work to be done, and that you're going to continue the bylaw review committee
I
to
think-
even further out for
I think we're going to be
additional
years in the making, yeah.
That's good, that's awesome.
And maybe at some point, once you've, beyond the low-hanging fruit, we get some substantive changes, maybe the committee will partner with the planning board and look at zoning bylaws. Because the zoning bylaws are under the planning board's purview, but I'm sure they would like some help putting some eyes on it, just like you're asking for help from the public.
Yeah, I'd love to look at that and open up some areas for commercial development. But again, that's planning board, if they would more have to reach out to us.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have planning board, I think she's still chair,
She is?
so she'll be a good link.
Right. Any other liaison updates? Any old business? Any new business? I have a quick question. Have we heard anything about the graduation, high school graduation?
I have not.
High school graduation happens before our
I mean,
next meeting.
I talked to Aaron about it.
No, I know, I just.
No, and usually by now I've heard from Martell, so I'll send him a
Oh, look
note.
at that, we have a few here.
Yeah.
They usually reach out at some point.
Yeah, I'll just send him a note and make sure that that's still on the.
June 1st at 10 a.m.
Yep.
I think we meet, like 9:30-ish.
Usually there's an invitation with like a.
Oh, I'm ready. Fast. I know, that was why I was asking. And again, just like Memorial Day, we usually have the select board member speaks, gives a speech. I don't know if anybody wanted to speak at the high school graduation. You're the only one in the high school there. Did you want to
Sure,
speak?
but he doesn't graduate till
Okay,
26,
okay.
so that's when I want to speak.
Is anybody interested in speaking?
Go forth and get out of the house.
I'll speak.
You want that one too?
If nobody else will, somebody else does, but if nobody's jumping at it, then I'll do it.
You're gonna tell him the Arthur Boyle speech recommendation?
Yeah, I
Every
missed
speech,
that.
when you write it, if it doesn't fit onto a business card, it's too long.
That's gonna be a struggle for me.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say.
That's why I told it to you.
We'll
Give
give
me
you
a
the piece
time
of
limit,
paper.
I'll tighten it up.
We'll give you the piece of paper it
Literally 2
can
minutes,
fit on.
no more.
Oh, boy.
Please.
Oh, all right. It's yours.
I can do it, consider it a challenge.
Oh, no.
Challenge
Challenge
accepted.
accepted.
Challenge
Yes.
accepted. You win.
It's not a select board member's speech, it's an address. I'm just addressing the crowd.
I understand, thank you.
Thank you. Please.
You'll be
I'm gonna
great.
be out in the sun
Yeah.
baking.
I'm gonna make it longer just for you, Dan.
My goodness.
It's last minute.
My goodness.
I'll ask Tyler to make sure the microphone, something goes away.
Moving on. Thank you. Thank you, Allison. Do we have any announcements?
I do have one, because Old Man Softball is starting for 35 and up, mostly 40. We play at 10 a.m. Around certain other towns overall. Please get a hold of the Pembroke Old Man Softball Facebook page, message. It's a great time hanging out with residents, playing some ball, and then, just trying not to get hurt.
It's nice to know I'm 18 years older than the oldest old man on your softball
Right?
team.
Is it literally called Old Man?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, boy.
We wanted to make shirts, but I won't say what I want to say, put on them. No, it's okay.
Maybe not here.
Not here, no.
Any other announcements? Do we have any community comment? Sorry, do we have any community comment from
I
the
just
board?
needed a few minutes after the
You go ahead.
presentation to kind of get my
Hi.
thoughts together. So for the,
Could you just identify
oh,
yourself?
sorry, Allison Clement.
Thank you.
For the public safety building. So why weren't the perk tests done if the site was, what vetting was done on the property? If no perk test, as far as I've seen a perk test, it didn't take too long. So like the fact that this project already, at least from my perspective, came out of like really quickly, presented last year, from the time it was presented publicly to us voting, with the community support. So what were things not done that should have been done ahead of time to get, because it seems that if it's $7 million, is there another site that can be bought for $7 million and put like the proper building on it? Like it seems to be cutting things that we were told were needed all of a sudden to now have 6 feet of retaining wall. Like it just seems like you're forcing a project onto a site that might not be right, and that Turner House hasn't really been potentially like that. The money that's having to be reduced, I feel like could probably buy a site that might actually fit what we need and not have to worry about the Turner House at all. I don't know anything about it other than Big Y was looking at one point, but there's that property across the street. I have no idea anything about that, but it just seems that, I'm glad they're not coming for more money, but it just seems like the planning involved and the lack of communication, and it just worries me that a lot of this doesn't seem to have been done, and we were asked for a lot of money that the town is now paying. So I'm just concerned with what's next. That's my thoughts.
And would we normally have done testing like that previously? In a certain time frame, within a certain
So
timeframe?
if I were here when the planning was done, we would have done it differently. Okay, I wasn't here. I can't change that at this point.
Right.
I build buildings differently. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
We were here when we were pushing the project to, why couldn't it have been perfect before it was brought to town meeting? That's, I guess, my question.
So you don't, the way Pembroke does buildings is we appropriate the funds and then we start the planning process. We do a conceptual design, but we don't do anything beyond that. That's how we did it over here. That's how Pembroke does it. That's how a lot of towns do it.
Who decided? Like, it just seems like it's working backwards. Like we're sold a story. Sorry, just like we're sold a story that's what's needed. It's clear. Like I don't think there's any debate that those buildings, that need to happen. But it's the fact that we're now, being given. And I guess my other question is the subcommittee, are their votes like, because is that done? Like, are they moving forward? But, you know, I don't know the votes, like, I feel like you guys almost asked more questions about the bench than you did this $60-70 million building. So it's just, as a taxpayer, I know how much I've estimated my taxes are going to go up. How much is this building going to continue to shrink? How much money is this going to actually cost? Why are we going to have like a hill in front of this beautiful building because of septic? Like it seems like a lot to me. And so that's where I just don't know why it seems so little information has come out when I think we still barely know anything. It just seems it's a hard pill to swallow, I guess, for me.
So let me assure you, we are following the normal planning and design phases of a municipal building. We're doing exactly what everybody else did. We're doing exactly what we did with the community center. I will also assure you that the programming is not affected by this. Every single thing that we said that the police and fire departments need, I wish the chiefs were still here, is still there. The training/community room, yes, it's cut in size, but it still meets the FBI training requirements so that we can hold training and host trainings there. The apparatus bays, the audiovisual training, all of those spaces are still in this design, okay? And you asked if there's another space. I spent probably 30 hours looking at all the lots in town, and could we buy something? Yes, the town doesn't own anything that we can build it on. We've looked at that. Could we buy something? I can't find anything that we can buy, and if you buy it and you spend that money, that's money that comes off the budget. So you're further reducing the budget because you're buying land. We already own this land, so yes, there is a cost to that. And in my opinion, we probably should have known that, probably should have perked that when the architects did the studies. You know, I think I recall that there was some perking done, and that it did show that it was adequate for a septic tank. I just don't know the details tonight in my mind. But I will certainly go back and look at that. I do recall that there were perk tests done on that site back previous to it being brought to town meeting, which is why none of us would have engaged that at that time. You know, the phase studies, just to be clear of everything that has been done there, so you know that we've done due diligence. The phase 1 study for contaminated site, we completed on both sites. The traffic study to make sure that it was adequate for the sites we have completed, and completed those prior to bringing it to town meeting for a vote. There was a lot of work that was done to move that forward. The conditions, unfortunately, with the construction company there using the site and the weather conditions just haven't made it feasible to do a perk test. So my guess is that when the perk tests are completed, that price that you're looking at will come down. But I can't promise that until you actually get in the ground and look at it. So I don't see, and as far as you talk about a big hill, it's not a big hill. They call it a mounded septic system, but you're gonna see what you saw there in the schematics. That's what the building is gonna look like. As you come down 53, that's the visual you're gonna get. It's a little different as you turn onto Barker Street, but it's not a big hill in front of the building. I can assure you of that. Which is why you have the retaining walls in the back, because not only do you bring the septic up, but you bring the building and everything else up also. So, any other questions, comments?
So I just had a question about the process. So you said if you were here, you would have done it differently. Who decides the process for the buildings and like how it goes? Like, is there a standard?
I think it's a town. Pembroke hasn't built a building in 20, what is it, 26 years? When we started the community center, it was 24 years. So there wasn't really a process. You know, we hadn't done it here. So different towns do it different, and you know, we will learn from that process. We will do it different. You get further along, you fund your design, you get further along in your design, you do a lot more due diligence. You don't buy a lot until you've done the due diligence. I mean, we aggressively went into that lot. You know, I don't know why. I mean, to be honest, from a strategic location for response timings for fire and a safety standpoint, it's an awesome lot. It is likely one of the best in the town, and which is likely why it was chosen, so you can put your fire apparatus and your ambulances there. Let's face it, most of our ambulance calls aren't in the center. I can tell you, they're not in the center, and they're not south of here. There's some of them that are. Most of our ambulance calls are in that direction. So putting it further in that direction reduces our response times, reduces our ISO rating, which reduces your homeowner's insurance. And by putting a station at, in that section of town at Monroe and School, will cover those response times for there, so you can have your response real quick. Strategically, from a planning standpoint, I can understand why it was done. It makes perfect sense. It increases the safety for residents. In fact, huge majority of the residents and commercial businesses in this town, with the placement of the new stations, their response time is going way down. There's one spare, very, very, very small window where the response times go up a little bit. So you live in Queensbrook?
No, but Old Hart, where we go up.
So, I mean.
I don't think it's a question of location.
those-
I just mean, like, is there a process for that? Or is
I
it like
think as
live
we
and
move-
learn and each person decides?
I think as we move
Well,
forward.
I can help.
Okay, go ahead.
You seem like you needed a little help there. So, when the town purchased this land, and we can look at the historical data to make sure that there were test pits done before we actually purchased the property. The property was purchased specifically for a single fire station only. At that time, the police chief wanted his new station in the center of town, and that fire chief wanted his station down there. So we bought it planning on one structure, one building, not a shared structure has more volume to it, more square footage to it. So that reduced the site that you could use for a septic system, because the building's larger now with two different entities in there. So the town did its due diligence back then, and you can look at the historical data, if you could look that up and have it for the next meeting, or for the committee. And then the committee was formed, and they worked for a year and a half or so before they even brought it before the people. So the due diligence was being done for about a year and a half before the citizens even, it was brought to the citizens for a vote. John, you're the chairman of that committee the whole time. Speak up.
Yeah, no, we were basically saying almost 2 years of when I got to be chair in August, going through the subsequent KBA, or Castle Booze, who has us as an architect, and they had some delays too, but I know they did some borings. I thought they did tests on the first round of basically what we're trying to do, phase one. And that's when, after we got everything done with that first phase, that's when we were able to bring it to the town to make sure that this is what the things we need. We were looking at what the town needs to basically what we're looking at 20 years down the road. And then because of, you can say the economy, you can say all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, things have changed a bit, but the place where we're putting this public safety building for both police and fire is still one of the best places in town to make sure that we have for response times, for the ISO rating, and then making sure the other side, and Monroe Street and School Street, are taking care of the folks around on School and going down towards Bryanville. So it is all about a safety perspective, but also making sure that since the citizens allocated us almost $62 million to make sure this project is done, that basically that we're good stewards to make sure it's under budget. Now, what you saw tonight with Vertex, yeah, we got some work to do still, until basically we have the actual bids to go out. Because when the community center asked for another $3 million to make sure we had this project finally done, they already had their bids in. So basically, it could be almost the same way, but we are still trying to find money in the process to make sure that we are on budget and on time.
And just for the public's knowledge, and the board as well, the overage that she spoke about tonight was an estimate. Those are not the bids. So those are not the actual bids. They don't come out to the DD set, design development set.
Thank you.
And they're based on worst-case scenarios.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's currently at, what is it? It's $1.5 million now is
One
what's left?
point, 1.586, I believe.
So it's 1.586
Down from
over
7.
budget.
Almost
And
the
we'll
price
get-
of Turner House.
Indeed. Did you have a question, Katrina? Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Katrina Delaney. My question was just, I know you mentioned about the process and us may or may not have, having one. Is that something that the
Well, it's-
town is going to be doing?
I didn't say we didn't have a process. I said the process that we used was slightly different than what I've used in the
Got it.
past.
Okay.
So,
Is there any plan to amend that to what you all think would be best if it didn't really work
So,
as well as it could have this
if,
time?
if I get the support for it,
Yeah.
absolutely. We
Cool.
will, we will
Okay,
do things
yeah.
very differently,
Yeah.
not very differently, because it's
Yeah.
only slight changes.
Adjustments.
The process is the process. I mean, you do your conceptual, your schematic, design development, and then your construction documents.
Some minor changes.
There's a
Yeah.
little bit of homework that you do ahead of time, but the process is pretty much laid out in state statute.
Got it.
So-
Okay, so maybe you all will look at it to make some minor adjustments.
I was going
if
to say,
there's
would you
support.
mind if I shared with her, just from an outsider or a layman's perspective, as I've
That'd
been
be
learning
great.
Sure.
in the last 2
You-
years
you've
from you?
watched me in the meetings.
No, absolutely. So, generally, okay, go back to 1998, just for 2 seconds in your mind.
Okay.
Town
Yeah.
administrator, right? Lots of committees, and things were run by committee.
Mhm.
The town has, over time, made some choices to run a little more efficiently, a little more streamlined. Town Manager Act was passed. They expected more accountability, top down, cross, right?
Right.
So the expectations have been not changing. So as going through this and watching how this is done, we haven't built since 98.
Yeah.
And one of the best practices, if you, and hope I'm not leaking anything, but having a capital improvement plan and having a second set of being able to challenge all of the data and the numbers, right? Your building committee, the way we've been doing it, community center, public safety, they're amazing.
Yeah.
These are volunteers who are killing themselves, working with professionals, but to your point,
Yeah.
could you vet those with administration and say, I expect you to
Yeah.
build buildings, the building committee is bringing a proposal, before it goes to town meeting, what are those things that are missing?
Yeah. Yeah. That
And the
makes sense.
CIP plan, I think, is something you've addressed before. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in,
Yeah,
but
perfect.
since I didn't know, I thought
Yeah.
maybe that would be
That was
helpful.
really helpful as an explanation, I'm sure for others as well.
And the irony there is Sabrina wasn't at my meeting the other day, but we are commencing an update to that
Okay.
as we speak. The department heads have been tasked with identifying potential issues. On June 1st, the schools will have until July 1st because the schools have much more bigger buildings. So, and then just to identify certain things, and then we'll move forward with the capital plan so that we have it ready prior to the fall.
That's fantastic, thank you, that was helpful. Appreciate it.
I apologize, I didn't ask if the board had any community comment first. Nothing? Okay. So we'll just read upcoming issues. June 12th and June 26th, we'll be voting annual reappointments. June 12th, social waste management request for the Winter Lights 5K to be moved here. That's everything. Do we have anything else? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Oh,
Second.
second, sorry.
John,
Second.
Steve?
John, Steve,
Everybody so
thank you.
moved. All in favor?
Aye.